All right, guys, we're going to continue today talking about matrices. And today is going to be about multiplication. Now, before we even get started, I do want to go ahead and point out one of my favorite people in this whole room. And he's right over here. His name is Chuck. That's his name. And the reason I'm a big fan of Chuck is because I'm just impressed by how he remains constantly vigilant with his job. Right? And his job is holding up that ball. Every time I come in here at 7:30, he's there holding that ball. Every time I leave, he's there holding that ball. At some point today, when we're doing the lesson, every single person in here is going to be like, that's it, I've had enough. And I want you to look at Chuck and think, I can keep going. Okay? That's what's going to happen today. All right? Luis, answer it. All right. So we are going to multiply. All right? That's what we're going to do today. What do you got? Oh, sad. Okay, Friday. You going to be here Friday? Okay, Friday's going to be a big day for you. Okay, because they're going to know what they're doing, you're not. So that's okay. I am recording, so you can listen. All right? So I'm going to skip these slides, and I'm just going to go to the first example to explain how we're going to multiply matrices. All right? Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to multiply the rows of the first matrix times the columns of the second matrix. I'm going to repeat that. We're going to multiply the rows of the first matrix times the columns of the second matrix, okay? So this problem says W times X. So I'm going to first just draw my first matrix of W. 3, negative 2, 1, 0, 2, negative 1. And you guys yesterday learned about how to name matrices using their dimensions. So what are the dimensions of matrix W? 3 rows by 2 columns. So I'm going to write a 3 by 2 right there. All right, so I'm going to write that right there. Is everybody okay? That's what we did yesterday. Then I'm going to write the other matrix, matrix X, which is 4, 7, negative 2, 5, 1, negative 1. What are the dimensions of matrix X? A 2 by 3. Okay. So in order to multiply, we have to check to make sure it's possible. So here's how you check to make sure it's possible. I want you to underline the columns of the first matrix and the rows of the second matrix. Underline those two numbers. And what do you notice about those numbers? They are the same. If those numbers are the same, then this is possible. Okay? If those numbers are the same, they won't always be 2. They could be 3 or 4, whatever it is. Okay? But they have to be equal. That means it's possible. So this is possible. Everyone okay? So yesterday was addition and subtraction. Would this be possible to add or subtract? No, because they don't have the same dimensions exactly. But today is not yesterday. Today is multiplication. Miranda, I think you had a question. No? Was that the question? Great. Look at you guys. So again, a lot of students, we do this example, they think, oh, like these are flipped. That's not how it could be. This number could be a 4, it could be a 5, a 1, this number could be a 7. All that matters right now are these numbers the same. Yes. Now take your pen or pencil and circle the rows of the first matrix and the columns of the second. So the outside numbers. Those numbers that you circle are going to be the dimensions for your answer. So your answer matrix is going to be a 3-row by 3-column matrix. That will be your answer. All right? So I'm going to write 3 by 3. And I'm going to draw a 3 by 3 matrix. So if I have 3 rows and 3 columns, how many numbers am I going to need to find? Very good, 9. Now, a lot of students think that these are negative signs. They're not. They're placeholders. What I do, the reason I do this, and the reason I want you to do it, is that way you know how many numbers you need to find for your answer. Okay? Any questions? Now would be the time to ask questions. Any questions so far? So again, the 3's are the same. Do those numbers have to be the same? No, the numbers that I circled may not be the same. Okay, they just happen to be the same for this problem. So it could have been, those could have been different. The ones you underline have to be the same. Okay? Otherwise, it's not possible. You can't do it. All right, we ready? So in multiplication, what we're going to do to multiply this is we're going to multiply the rows of this matrix times the columns of the second matrix. We're going to multiply the rows of this matrix, the first one, times the columns of the second one. The way I know to do that, and the way I help myself remind myself about that, is I draw arrows. So take your arrow, or take your pen or pencil, and you're going to draw an arrow over this way. And what is that reminding you to do? Multiply rows, right? That's the rows. If I draw an arrow like this, what's that reminding me to do? The columns are up and down. Okay? Now, what I want you to do right now, I want you to flip over your paper. Flip over your paper. Because there's a bunch of room, and I want you to make a big, giant work matrix. We're going to show all of our work. So again, it is a 3 by 3 in the work matrix as well. I'm just going to leave more space to show you how we're going to do this. Okay? And then once we get to this point, we are ready to rock. All right. Yes? It's always rows by columns. We haven't done it yet, so I think you'll see right here. All right, we're ready to try. Okay. You got to do rows of the first one times the columns of the second. Here's why. Let's look at this one here. This is going to be a number in my answer. That number is in the first row and the first column. Does everyone see that? The first row and the first column. Yes? Everyone see that's in the first row, first column? So I'm going to multiply the first row times the first column and get one number. Here's how it's going to work. You're going to go 3 times 4 plus negative 2 times 5. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. Guys, again, right? You're going to get to that point. Keep pushing. 3 times 4 plus, and watch how I follow my arrows, negative 2 times 5. So what is that? What's 12 plus negative 10?
Negative 2.
Positive 2. Great, we've got one number. We have 8 more to go.
Oh my God.
I know, we can do this. We can do this. Here we go, the next one. Watch where I go. That number is still in the first row, but now where did I go? The second column. So I'm going to multiply the first row times the second column. So 3 times 7 plus negative 2 times 1. Should I show that one again?
1, 3.
First row times the second column. 3 times 7 plus negative 2 times 1. Follow your arrows.
Are we just going to keep on using?
We're just going to keep on.
Then in the second one, we're going to use 1, right?
Wait, is it always going to be negative 2?
We'll get there. We'll get there. All of your questions will be answered. Yeah, Lucy.
So is it always going to be times negative 2 times negative 2?
I don't know what you're saying. Always.
Because you can't go any more to the right.
You're right.
So you can't.
I'm in what row? So I'm always going to use the first row until I move to the second row. But we're not there yet. Okay. So what's 21 plus negative 2? 19. If you don't know how I'm doing that, I'm just looking at that right there, just like you did in the rewind, and just putting it together.
Can we do the order one more time?
Yeah. Which like how I got those numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah. First row, second column. Are you good, Janicia? 3 times 7 plus negative 2 times 1. Let's try this one. Like some of you have already seen the pattern, but then some of you haven't, and it's going to happen. You're just going to be, it's going to be magical. Okay? It'll happen, I promise. It'll be the first row times the third column. So 3 times negative 2 plus negative 2 times negative 1. Which is negative 6 plus 2, which is negative 4. All right. We've done 1/3 of them.
It's always 3.
It's always 3? What do you mean 3?
I mean, like, it's like coefficient. Yeah, because you did the first row.
Yeah, all of these are with the first row. So I'm always using 3 and negative 2. Now watch what happens when I go to the second row. Now I'm using 1 and 0, but now I'm back in which column? The first column. So it's 1 times 4 plus 0 times 5. And that one's going to be? 4. Okay? All right. I'm going to go to the next one. Still in the second row, but now I'm in the second column. All right, so that's second row times the second column. 1 times 7 plus 0 times 1, which is 7. Second row, third column. Second row, third column. 1 times negative 2 plus 0 times negative 1, which is negative 2. All right, last one. Last one. Again, guys, this is the first problem, and you're going to do at least 4 today on your own. And then on Friday, you'll do 12. Okay? So you're going to get a lot of practice. So remember, again, you're going to be okay. All right. Last row, the third row. So I'm moving to the third row, but now back to the first column, because this is third row, first column. So 2 times 4 plus negative 1 times 5. So that's 8 plus negative 5, which is 3. All right? Still in the third row, but now to the second column. So 2 times 7 plus negative 1 times 1. So that's 14 plus negative 1, which is 13. And the last one, which is the third row and third column, 2 times negative 2 plus negative 1 times negative 1. So that is negative 4 plus 1. Negative 3. Okay, so let that sink in a few minutes.